All right, let's talk about the pentatonic, the major, and the minor, and how you shouldn't be playing these two scales the same way. They are, when we learn them, the same exact scale, seemingly. So what I mean by that is my A minor pentatonic, is the same where that root note is as where my pinky lies. That's the start of my major pentatonic, so that would be C major pentatonic, which means my A minor pentatonic and my C major pentatonic are the same grouping of notes. Now, if I'm going to do the same root note, I have my A minor pentatonic. Perfect. For minor or like a dominant 7, whatever. And then if I switch it to A major, that means that this note has to be where my pinky is. Okay, so that's the difference. I just want you guys to kind of understand that that they're playing off of relative major and relative minor. So if I have A minor, the main notes that I'm really looking at here is that, my root note, that's my root note, and that's my root note. Now from there, you can do call and response, you can build tension by kind of landing on one of the notes close to the root note, and then kind of resolving whatever, however it is that you want to play that. But that's where the sort of center of that scale lies. Okay, if I switch this to C major, all right, it's the same grouping of notes. Now what ends up happening, because we tend to learn these two scales back to back in our lessons and whatever, is that people will play this. If I have kind of like a C major progression, people will end up doing and that is not the way to play that. Okay, you're really taking out of context that scale by utilizing it as the A minor, right? Because we're so used to doing that, especially if we're starting with blues and rock and stuff. So some really common mistakes are not knowing where those root notes are. So if this is my root note, where your first finger lies on the third string is your root note, and where your pinky lies on the bottom string are your root notes. So now those become the focal points, okay? So now I can do, that sounds a lot more pleasing than over, right? It's a world of difference. It has a much more pleasant sound for that progression. Now, when we start getting into some really pinpointing disastrous ways to play it, is I love using bends not just to get to the next note. Ooh, that's tough bend. I got put 13s on this. Not just getting to the next note, but using it as sort of an attitude, as an inflection. Right? It's not really even a half step away or a whole step away. It's just kind of like this push up, because it gives a little attitude. I love doing that for a minor. Now, if I take that to here, that not only ends in a really awkward place if that is where I'm presuming my home base is, because we're in major, so that's actually my home base, but I'm actually bending the root note now, right, of that scale, right? It works in A minor, those both work in that A minor scale. You're taking that flat 7, you're taking that flat 3, and you're kind of giving it a little push before resolving it to the root note. That, if you do that, for the major, right, where you're kind of looking at it, like I was saying, like as an A minor scale, you're pushing the 5th scale degree up a little bit. You get that, not an awesome sound, right? Or the root note. Instead of that, you get, it's like, just be really careful with that. With that being said, learning how to utilize the scale, and if you just kind of play, if you're playing in C major, right? If you just kind of play and just let that really sink in, and then start moving around that, and really hear that root note, right? Okay, it's gonna start feeling like a different scale, and it should feel like a different scale in that sense. The one thing that I want to tag on to the end of this, because I really do like this, is when we talk about the blues, minor blues and major blues, they end up positionally working the same for major and minor. Let me show you what I mean by that. So your blues scale is taking that pentatonic and adding this flat 5. That's kind of my blues note, right? Right, and that gives you such a crazy blues sound. Awesome for a minor blues. It's actually the same exact note, but numerically different. The color of the note is different if I play it as a major. So what I mean by that is it's the same note. It's that note added and that note added, just like in the A minor. The A minor, it's a flat 5. Here, what we're doing is we're adding that chromatic that's actually numerically my root note, my 2, my flat 3 into my major 3rd. Right? That's where you get that blues sound. And then, okay, and then that's my major 3rd over, or my minor 3rd, I'm sorry. Right, you can hear that sort of a difference. Kind of has that Allman Brothers-y sound. So that's really cool that we can take the pentatonic and use the pentatonic as our minor or our relative major. We can also take that blues scale, right? And then the notes are different. If I do a blues in A, right, pretty typical blues lick is, so I'm starting on that. That's my flat 3 in A minor, right? So I'm on my 3rd string, 5th fret, 5, 7, 8, 7, 5, and then resolving it to my root note. Right now, if I take that same thing, that's my flat 5, that's my blues note. If I do it in major, now it's my root note, my 2, my flat 3, my 2, and then that's my root note. And I can kind of even hit that, you know, kind of back to my root note. So just some cool ways to mess around with the major pentatonic that I wanted to show you guys, because I do have students where if we're doing this A minor, awesome, right? But if I play that C major, it'll still be, and that doesn't functionally fit, okay? And you can even tell when you get into like the knowledge of knowing these scales, you're playing them wildly different. Like, we know as the listener in that lick that you mean that note. You mean that as the root note. We can tell, you know. Or this. You mean that as a tension building note, that flat, that minor 3rd. Right? And that's why it doesn't work when we do this. The intention has to be different. The intention of the scale, right? That is so much different. My intention is different where I want this to lead and how I want to play each one of those notes. So I hope that helps, guys. That always helped me kind of break out of the the playing that scale. I mean, it is like, it shouldn't be easy to play, to say like, oh, the major scale or the major pentatonic, oh, that's just the minor pentatonic, but the root note is where your pinky is. That shouldn't be how you think of it. It should feel like a completely different scale for that reason. So, hope it helped. I'll see you guys soon.